About the CN Tower in a few minutes. My name is Tom Wright. I'm the Director of Canadian Operations for the Ultimate Fighting Championship, and it's my pleasure to welcome you and thank everyone today for coming out to the kickoff to UFC 152, September the 22nd at Toronto's Air Canada Centre, Benavidez versus Johnson. It's going to be a great, great event. First and foremost, I want to thank the people from the Air Canada Centre. It's no surprise. It's a world-class venue, home of the Leafs and the Raptors. This will be our second time coming to the Air Canada Centre. UFC 140 back in December was our first. We're thrilled to be coming back there, and I can guarantee fight fans, not only from this area in Toronto, but from across Canada, the United States, and everywhere, will be in for a treat for that event. And you know, it's for me as an individual charged with running the UFC in Canada, UFC 152 in Toronto will be our 10th visit to this country. Going back to April of 2008, UFC 83 in Montreal. No other country has represented more UFC events outside of the United States than Canada. It's something we're really proud of, and it's something that really speaks strongly to how great the fight fans are in this country, and how fortunate we are to be able to bring world-class athletes like these guys to show their talents and to really put on a show in a few months. And now for this event, we've got the first ever opportunity Toronto's going to host the crowning of the 8th weight class in our sport with the Ultimate Fighting Championship, with the flyweight fight between these two guys, who I'll introduce in just a second. But before I introduce our main event, I also want to talk about some of the other great fighters we have on this card. First and foremost, on my far left, it was a month ago that Rory MacDonald was at the Air Canada Centre and announced that he was going to be fighting BJ Penn in a great representation of the new school versus the old school in terms of the welterweight division. Rory is originally from BC, as everybody knows, fighting out of Montreal now. He's 13-1, 4-1 in the UFC. He just turned 23 on Sunday, so you can wish him a happy birthday. And against BJ Penn, two-time UFC champion, lightweight and welterweight, he's coming up against one of the most accomplished and one of the most respected fighters in the game. So I know that's going to be a great fight that everybody's going to look forward to. Now I have the opportunity to introduce Brian Stann and Michael Bisping. It wasn't a couple of hours ago that these two guys were 1,168 feet above the city of Toronto doing the edge walk at the CN Tower. You got to see the pics of that square off. It's one of the best. Brian's a former WEC light heavyweight champion. He's from Scranton, Pennsylvania. He's really looking forward to his opportunity to come and show his skills at 185 here in Toronto. And he's up against Manchester's own Michael Bisping, who has been around for a great length of time. He's the UFC, the Ultimate Fighter Season 3 winner. He's 23-4, an accomplished striker. I think it's going to be a great fight between these two guys. But you got to see the pictures from the CN Tower. They're quite fun. Which leads me to the main event, Demetrious Johnson versus Joseph Benavidez in the first ever flyweight championship for the UFC. Again, it's being held at the Air Canada Centre on September the 22nd. Demetrious fights out of Parkland, Washington. He's 15-2-1. He's 3-1-1 in the UFC. And he's going up against Joseph Benavidez, who's fighting out of Sacramento, California, 16-2. These guys are going to put on a show for the first ever flyweight championship, and I, for one, can hardly wait to see it. So at this stage, I'm going to open up the floor to Mike, to the floor to questions from anybody here. Who's got the first question?
Question for Joby one and for DJ. What does this mean to you? You have the opportunity to become the first ever UFC flyweight champion.
This is huge. It's amazing just to be on this card. So looking forward to fighting here in Canada. It's a great card, great fights on it. Kind of surreal to me to have BJ Penn on the card also, even though he's not here, but that's just incredible to me. And then, of course, it's for the UFC title, which, that's why we're all in this sport, to go for that title. So, yeah, it's amazing to be the first one. Also, just an honor to get into the UFC. To be a champion is also a dream, but to be the first ever, that only happens one time. Looking to be the George Washington of flyweight champion. So can't wait to come out here and put on a show.
Yeah, I agree with Joseph. It means the world to me to be able to fight for, another UFC title. I wasn't so lucky at 135, but I'm going to bust my butt in the gym, try to get the 125 title, and to be able to do it here in Canada, first time in Canada, it's awesome. So I can't wait to put on a good show for you guys.
Hi guys, Jennifer Robles from InGamer. Taking into consideration your flyweight fight, when Michael Bisping said that nobody really cares about flyweights, what is your opinion about that and how it affects your weight class?
I'm just hyping my own fight. This is going to be an amazing title fight, but I was expecting this, very much so.
I think it was pretty silly, of course, when I heard it, but it's Michael Bisping. Everyone pretty much expects something ridiculous to come out of his mouth, right? That's pretty much what he does. So,
Listen, pal, when you were a glint in your dad's eye, I was kicking ass in the UFC.
and probably saying ridiculous things also. So, it's not going to change the fact that we're the top 2 guys in the world and that we're going out to make history that night. So, everyone that supports us, thanks, and we love you. Everyone that doesn't, including Bisping, I think you soon will, and you'll be excited for this. So yeah, man, it's gonna be great, and glad to have you on the card as a co-main, buddy.
Sorry, did you say something? No one cares about the flyweights.
Hey, Michael, you've talked about wanting to fight Silva for the belt. How big is this fight for you to be in line to fight Silva?
Yeah, well, first off, I just want to say how excited I am to be fighting in Toronto. As Tom mentioned, the first fight in Canada was in Montreal, and I fought on that card. And the fans and the whole experience for me was definitely one of my highlights of my UFC career. So I really wanted to fight again here in Canada. I had to pull out of Calgary because I had a torn meniscus. I was very disappointed, and I purposely asked to be on this card in Toronto. So I'm very excited to be here. Excuse me. Regarding my fight and a title shot, listen, I want to fight for the title. I want to fight Anderson Silva, but you can't look past Brian Stann. He's an incredible fighter. So, for me right now, I'm not even thinking about the title. I'm fighting Brian Stann. I've got my hands full with that. Regarding the fight, this is me versus Brian Stann. This isn't England versus America. This is an individual sport. There's no tanks, missiles, or guns involved in this. This is mano a mano, individual versus individual. On September 22nd, I'm going to individually beat the crap out of him.
Hey guys, Adam Martin from The Score. Brian, how do you respond to what Michael just said?
Take your time.
Well, I'll respond to the first part. I believe he is excited to fight here in Toronto. That's genuine. But in all honesty, I think he is looking for a title shot, and I can't blame him. It's very difficult to string together enough wins in this sport at the high level to finally get to a title shot. If you look at the percentage of how many fighters fight in the UFC and never get a shot at the title, and there's so much chance and luck and matchmaking that falls into that opportunity. So, I'm sure when he first heard that this was a fight he was going to get, he was probably a little disappointed because he knows he wants that shot at the title because you never know when it's going to come again. And this is a dangerous fight for him. He knows that I'm not an easy opponent. He knows I'm a guy who's capable of beating him. He is an incredible fighter. I think he was one of the most underrated fighters in the UFC. I think he's finally started to get the respect that he deserves for the body of work he's put together in a long career. And I'm very excited to fight here. How many opportunities you get to come to a great city like this, hang from the CN Tower, and do all these things that you're going to look back on 10, 15 years from now when your career's over and say, wow, I did this. And so this is a huge fight for me. This is a fight that people have known was coming. And to fight a guy like Michael Bisping, who, let's face it, he's a much bigger star in the UFC than I am, this is an incredible opportunity for me. So I think I have a lot more to gain in this fight than anybody else. And so I'm really excited to take advantage of that opportunity like I've done so many times in my career.
You know, 185 is pretty like open right now. There's Chris Weidman, Tim Boesch, Michael Bisping, you yourself. Do you think a win over Bisping pushes you right up to that #1 contender spot in a shot at Anderson Silva?
It absolutely does. You know, out of all those guys that are there vying for a title shot, he's the most well-rounded. He's the one who's done the greater body of work at 185. So I think it pushes me ahead against everybody. I'll probably have to fight one more time to get the title shot. That's fine by me. I don't care. You know, I just want to fight the best guys in the world for as long as I'm able to do this. I'm not interested in just fighting in the UFC to sign autographs and wear weird T-shirts. You know, I want to fight the best guys in the world so that when I'm done with this sport, I know exactly where I stood. I don't want easy fights.
Okay, cool. And I got a question for Rory. You and BJ have been going back and forth on Twitter about the VADA testing thing. So I'm just curious, like, what's the status of that? Have you talked to Dana White or Tom Wright about that? And after you answer that, Tom, what's the regulation for drug testing in Ontario and in Toronto?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. The latest I got is BJ now backed out of it. You know, I think he did it just to start shit, you know, to get something going. But you know, I was up for it. I was like, yeah, let's do it. You know, I was ready. You know, to prove that, you know, I'm not on anything, and to, you know, maybe motivate other fighters to start doing it too. But he was the one that you know, offered it and then backed out of it. He started making all these sayings like they weren't going to release the test before the fight and all this, and they never did. He started making up all this stuff. So, you know, I don't know really what's going on with BJ's head right now. What was the other part of the question?
I think it was for me, Rory. It was the status of drug testing here in Ontario. First and foremost, you know as well as I do how strongly we feel the UFC about making sure that there's a level playing field for all of our athletes to compete on. We take the use of performance-enhancing drugs very seriously. We test for it. We have in the past, and we will continue to do so going forward. In this province, all of our athletes, the athletes on this card, will be tested. The testing will most likely be done outside of province because this commission has a policy as it relates to that. But regardless of whether or not you know, this province has a policy, we will test our athletes and make sure that there's a level playing field.
Hi, Michael. Not looking past Brian Stann at all, but how do you think you stand against the likes of Anderson Silva? What do you think you bring to the table that others haven't before you?
I think one thing that I can definitely do is fight him in all areas. You know, a lot of fighters, for example, Chael Sonnen, you know, the only thing he can offer him in way of offense is to take him down, you know, and he did that very well in his last fight, the first round. I think the second round he got a little complacent. He thought because the first round went so well, he went out there and thought he was on Dancing with the Stars and did a spinning back fist and fell over. One thing's for sure, I won't fall over. I'll have to get knocked down. And I'll certainly give him a better fight than what everybody else has done lately. I can guarantee that.
Back to the flyweights, guys. Between the two of you, right here. Between the two of you, almost all your fights have gone to decisions except for one TKO. What are you guys going to do regarding your weight class to make sure that there's an exciting end to the fight, or is TKOs just not as likely as they are in your weight class?
Yeah, the thing about the flyweights is that you have we're all around it. You know, we're all at the top of the level, and we're all very well in every single aspect of the sport. So typically when somebody gets, you know, finished, in my eyes, is when, one, they either make a mistake, or two, the person is going for the kill, and then when you go for the kill, you end up making a mistake. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, you know, I'm sure, you know, Joseph and me and all the flyweights in the world are in the gym training to finish our opponents, but that just shows how good we are when we fight each other. You know, we're all at the top level, and we have no weaknesses in any of our games.
To make it clear, I believe you were talking about also just in the flyweight division, since it started, there's been one KO or TKO, right? That happened to be me, and that's just a sign of things to come. You know, at 35s, I was knocking guys out, and if I wasn't, I was rocking them every time, you know. So I think that's just a sign of things to come. At 25s for me, I can also submit people, you know, submitted black belts. So I'm looking to add the power and the finishes into this division. And, you know, like DJ said, everyone's so talented at the division. You know, everyone is good everywhere. You know, that's so, you know, the finishes come harder also. the thing is, we're not just standing there, punching each other. When you look at a 205 heavyweight fight, the guy is standing there just taking the punch. When you're trying to hit 125-pound flyweight, bantamweight, the guy's moving out of the way. You're not landing as clean punches, as you would be. But, that's something I work on, as my power, and that's something, like I said, I'm going to bring to the division.
Question for both Michael and for Brian. I'll start off with you, Michael. You and I had a conversation. We were in Calgary. How glad you are that this is on neutral territory. Can you expand?
Well, yeah. Obviously, he's a very well-decorated war hero, and Americans, rightly so, are very, very patriotic people, and that's fantastic. But I just think if the fight was to take place in Texas, I'd have probably been shot on the way out. So I'm quite happy to be here. Canada, part of the Commonwealth. Long live the Queen. And look forward to kicking ass.
Brian, you and I have talked, I guess, on numerous occasions about your military background and how you're able to block. Let's face it, Michael's a master at self-promotion. He knows how to sell a fight. He does a wonderful job at it. But rarely do you ever show any emotion in a situation like this. I know we're caught up in the moment, but can you talk about your military background and how it helps you sort of deflect or not even pay attention to situations like this?
Look, I've said this before. When you've had to look a mother in the eyes and tell her why you couldn't bring her son home, it makes all of this a heck of a lot easier. This is just a fist fight. It's something I'm really good at, something I love doing. None of these antics are going to matter to me. I don't get very nervous when I fight. I love to do it. And come September 22nd, I'm going to draw a line in the sand. I'm going to say, Mike, cross it. He's the kind of guy I know he'll step to it, and we're going to get after it. And I'm telling you right now, folks, you may have complained about certain fights that were on the card this past weekend. You won't complain about ours.
I agree. Well said.
This question is from Michael. Hi, Michael. I wanted to ask you, Ashley, I've been watching your interviews online. I got to say, you definitely look focused. You're in good spirits. And your trash talk is on point and better than ever. Maybe for some of your fans, if you can elaborate, where does this fight put you in the chase for the gold, for the UFC title?
Well, I've been around the UFC since 2005, and a title shot is something that has, eluded me. And that's my fault. I've lost a couple of fights at key moments in number one contender matchups. So I've got nobody to blame but myself. Regarding this fight, I think if I win this fight, I should get a title shot. My last fight against Chael Sonnen, I think the general consensus is that I won that fight, and the judges robbed me of my title shot.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That's good.
Chris Weidman is a guy who's getting a lot of hype. They're saying he's number one contender. I asked Joe Silva, I said, well, if he's number one contender, let me fight that guy. And he said, no, we want you to fight Brian Stann. I said, okay, cool. I think this is the number one contender matchup. Brian's certainly capable of fighting for the title. I know I am. As he said, this is going to be an amazing fight. This is not going to be a boring fight. Two big guys are going to go out there and beat the living crap out of each other, and you're going to pay money to see it, because this is a fight you will not forget.
Thanks, Michael. If you can give a shout out to my friend here, Lisa, who thinks you're the hottest thing in this world.
Oh, thank you very much.
Rory, what does it mean to you to be fighting back here in Toronto? I know you've fought in Canada a couple of times now, but to be fighting somebody like BJ Penn, how does that make you feel, being right at home and having the support of the crowd that you will have on September the 22nd? And what's up, by the way, just a side note?
Yeah, I recognize that voice. I don't see where are you?
I'm the crippled guy at the back.
Oh, man. Good to see you again. I'm always excited to fight in Canada, and to fight a guy like BJ is an honor, because, I've watched his fights since I was 14 years old, and I have looked up to him. But I've come to a point in my career where I don't look up to anybody in this sport anymore. Obviously, I still respect him and all that, but I'm here to beat him and hurt him. So it is an honor, but at the same time, I'm here to win. And I'm very happy to be fighting in Canada again. Toronto's a great place to fight.
And Michael, for you, we talked already about Brian's military background and his focus and being able to block things out. How are you planning on training for that? Because his focus is second to none based on his military background.
Well, listen, to be honest, I don't really think that comes into it. I've done martial arts since I was 8 years old and competed in competitions all my life. And I've had many, many fights inside the ring, outside the ring. I don't mean fights outside the ring. I mean, fights, struggles throughout my life. And, this is what I do. This is what I love to do. I'm not forced to fight in the UFC. I do it because I choose to do it, and I'm passionate about it, and I love it. And it's something that I'm good at. Come September 22nd, I'm going to be ready. I'm going to train like a madman for this fight. And it won't matter. Anything he does, any military training, any secret ninja training, he can do whatever he wants. Come the night, none of that's going to matter. I will walk in there, and I will walk out victorious.
Hey guys, this is, well, first of all, thanks for coming back to TO. We're all very supportive and happy that this is happening again. This is for Tom. Michael mentioned the big men. Obviously, there hasn't been a shortage of shifting in cards in the last little while. We were originally slated to have the heavyweight title on the line, Kane and, excuse me, Velasquez versus Dos Santos. Is there any sort of outlook on when that fight might be happening?
Oh, I think that fight will happen before the end of the year, but as I've said before, when people ask me about matchmaking, we've got best matchmaker in the business, Joe Silva, and between he and Dana, we'll figure out when that happens, but I suspect it'll happen before the year's out. And I, for one, I heard those rumors as well, but I mean, you only have one chance to make a first impression with the first ever flyweight championship. I'm thrilled about that, and you just listen to these guys talking, between Brian and Michael. They're going to put on a great show, and really having a chance to showcase a great Canadian against one of the legends in our sport. When Rory fights BJ Penn, I don't think you can ask for anything better. So, the heavyweights will have their moment. It'll probably happen towards the end of the year, perhaps in Vegas, but that's up to Joe and to Dana. But right now, it's UFC 152 on September the 22nd at the ACC, and the first ever flyweight championships is going to be a blast.
For sure, and this is a little personal question for Michael Bisping. Over here, dude. Hey. Right over here.
Hello.
I know that you used to be a DJ back in the day in your home country. Do you still practice as a DJ, or do you play anywhere, or is it just like...
I do, yes. As I said, I did martial arts since I was 8 years old, and then I went around, and I was obsessed with that, and I went around to a friend's house one day, and he had a set of turntables and stuff, and I saw that, and I thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen in my life. So I started DJing, and really enjoyed it. DJ Mikey B, as I was known back then. And once I started getting more and more success in the UFC, I realized, hanging out in nightclubs and late nights wasn't the best thing for me. But now, all people talk to me about is fighting. I look at MMA websites, I read MMA magazines, but there is more to me than that. So I thought I needed a hobby completely away from fighting. So I've started taking bookings again recently. So if anyone wants to book me, I am available for your wedding or bar mitzvah.
We'll talk after this, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Hey guys, how you doing?
As long as there's a free bar.
Brett's love to drink, eh? Couple questions, one for Rory, one for Michael. Rory, you mentioned earlier that there's no one in the sport, you don't need to look up to anyone else in the sport. What are your thoughts on George St. Pierre then? And for Michael, I know you've said some great things about Hector Lombard in the past, so just wanted you to drop some gems on his performance this weekend.
I thought Hector Lombard was sat right here.
Nice.
Go ahead, Rory.
Okay. Yeah, George, he's a good friend of mine, but I don't look up to anyone. He's a regular guy and a great training partner for me, and me for him, so it works good together.
Yeah, regarding Lombard, listen, I have no problem with the guy, it seems everybody's asking me about him. He came to the UFC with a lot of hype, and he didn't live up to the hype. I think it's as simple as that, really. His fight wasn't very eventful on Saturday night. If he had his original opponent, which was Brian, I'm sure Brian would have taken him out pretty swiftly. It's one thing to get into the UFC, it's another thing to stay in the UFC. And, will he be around much longer? Who knows? That's only he can answer that question.
It's a question for Michael Bisping. I'm a big fan of yours. Over here. Big fan of yours. I thought you beat Chael, by the way.
Thank you.
Anyways, last couple of months, Alan Belcher has called you out several times. He said he wanted to fight you, and basically last week I was reading, I think on Twitter, his agent Malky Kawa said that you basically did not want to fight him. That, you basically ducked him, per se. Can you please clarify?
Basically a what, sorry?
Alan Belcher?
Yes, yes.
His agents basically in his camp, I believe his camp said that you did not want to fight him. Like you basically ducked him, right? Can you please clear that up?
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. Listen, I'll fight Alan Belcher on the way to the car right now. It's no problem. He needs to focus on having a fight with his tattoo artist for that abomination on his arm and leave me alone. But yeah, listen, Alan Belcher, right now I'm taking care of Brian Stann. Alan Belcher, he's trying to get a bit of hype. He was successful at beating a jiu-jitsu fighter in his last fight, and for some reason now thinks he's the best thing since sliced bread. When he steps in there with a real fighter and wins nicely, then, you know, maybe we can do that one day. But right now, I'm focused on Brian Stann.
I actually have a question for all you gentlemen. We'll start off with Rory. I'm just wondering, I'm not asking to give away strategy, that's pretty obvious, but where is your opponent the most dangerous? Rory, you and I talked about, you know, BJ was once considered the best boxer in mixed martial arts. He's also a world champion at jiu-jitsu. You're the heavy favorite in this fight, but this guy is still extremely dangerous no matter what.
Yeah, of course he's dangerous. I don't really like to worry about what other guys are good at that I fight, you know. I just think I'm going to beat them everywhere. And I think that's about everyone in my division, you know. I feel like in anywhere the fight goes, I'm going to be the best in the world in that position. I'm not worried to take the fight anywhere with anyone.
You know, I think it's difficult to pinpoint just one area where I think Michael's dangerous. I think he's shown in his fights that he wins fights all over. I mean, he's been doing this for a long time. So, you know, I think that's probably the thing that's most dangerous about him. You know, there's no area in the octagon where you can be comfortable with him. You've got to be prepared. You've got to be fighting for everything in every different arena. Obviously, I think he's done a lot where he's really broken guys down because of his pace, being able to outpace them and coming in just with better conditioning.
Joseph, you know, he's dangerous everywhere. You know, he's finished guys, he's knocked guys out, submitted guys, and I believe I have the ability to negate all those things and use my skill sets to be able to take it to him in September 22nd. So,
DJ is definitely going to be the fastest fighter I've ever fought. I think he's probably the fastest fighter in the UFC. You know, I've never really fought anyone faster than me. I don't think he's fast enough to make me look slow or anything, and I think I have, you know, what timing and power and whatnot to negate that also. But I've just always been impressed by him all around, the way his fluid striking mixes in with his takedowns and everything. So it's going to be a great fight. You know, at this level, when you got the top two guys in the world, everyone is going to be good at jiu-jitsu, wrestling, and boxing. You know, it's going to come down to, especially in this division, some cardio, and really it always comes down to just who wants it more. So I'm going to be training my butt off for this.
Brian, you know, obviously his main thing, I think, is his power. You know, he hits incredibly hard, so that's one thing I've got to watch out for. Also, another thing, it could be quite distracting. I don't know if you've seen the cartoon American Dad. He looks like the lead character in that, so I won't be sure if I'm fighting in the UFC or watching American Dad, so I'm going to have to be sure that I stay focused and not just watch his chin.
Michael?
Yes?
Since Rory's stepped out for a second, this question is for you. Dana White says you're very, very underrated because people hate you so bad. How do you
That's
find...
so nice.
How do you find people's perception of you has affected your ability to get ahead in the UFC?
To be honest, I don't think it's affected it at all. And for the record, my life is pretty good. People are generally pretty nice to me. So, you know, I think on message boards and forums and things, I'm universally hated. But in the real life, people are pretty nice. And I think I'm a pretty nice guy as well. Regarding my UFC career, I think I've done fantastically. I don't think the fact that people think I'm an asshole, for want of a better word, has affected me. I've had a very good career. I've done very well out of this, and my family's done very well. So, yeah, I'm very, very happy with the way my career has gone so far.
Hey guys, what's up? Big fan. I got a question for Tom. You guys have done Rogers Center and you did so well there. I'm wondering why you never thought of doing Olympic Stadium in Quebec.
Well, actually, we have looked at that, and in time, whenever we go to Montreal, we'll take a peek at that. No different than we go to Vancouver, we'll take a look at BC Place. In Montreal, as you probably know, UFC 154 is scheduled for November the 17th at the Bell Center. You know, the Bell Center is a great venue. We've been there 4 times. It's one of the largest in North America. I think capacity is 22,500. And so, you know, we know that we can really do a great job in the Bell Center. I enjoy working there. It's a great kind of environment. They've got one of the best video boards in the entire planet. And so, you know, maybe in time, I mean, forever's a long time, but I think that right now we're really happy to be going to the Bell Center in November.
Thanks. And a question for Rory. Do you feel any added pressure knowing the rivalry your camp has with BJ and how you're kind of basically standing up for them?
No, that's on him. He's worried about TriStar. I don't care about that. I fight for myself, and that's it. You know, I'm not worried about that. He's all upset because George whooped him, but you know, I'm gonna hurt him even worse. So.
Hey, Tom, this question's for you. Just looking at the card up and down, I mean, you have the 3 gentlemen from United States here, Michael Bisping, British, Rory's Canadian, and you have Igor Krajic, is Croatian, you have Vinny Makulas, Brazilian. Was this done on purpose because Toronto is such an international city that you want like a cosmopolitan of international fighters representing the UFC on the card?
Yeah, absolutely, and I have those kinds of conversations with Joe, making sure that you know, as best as possible, you can represent the market that you're in. You know, there'll be some more Canadians added to this card, guaranteed. There'll probably be some other individuals from around the world. And I think, you know, you point out one of the great things about our sport, the fact that it is such a global sport, that we've got fighters from all parts of the world, and we've got fans from all parts of the world. And that's one of the reasons why it's so strong in this country. Toronto is probably the most multicultural, one of the most multicultural cities you'll ever find in the world. And I think that's one of the real reasons that our previous fights here, UFC 129, UFC 140 were successful, and I have every confidence that UFC 152 will be just as successful.
Can you give us any hints of the other Canadians that might be added to the card? I mean, a lot of people are asking about Mark Bocek, who's from Toronto, and Sam Stowe, London. Mark Hominick, are those guys going to be on the card?
You know, again, when it comes to some of those lower weight classes, that's a Sean Shelby thing. You know, until you hear it from Dana, you know, it's not official. I think there's a good chance that Bocek will be on the card. But again, it's those are the guys that make the decisions, and we'll have to wait and see.
Just one last question, just about the drug testing again. I mean, from what I gathered, you're doing it independent, or the UFC will do it independently, so I'm guessing Mark Ratner will oversee that process.
That's correct.
And will they be following the 6-to-1 testosterone to epi testosterone ratio for the testosterone replacement therapy?
I don't know the answer to that question, so if I try to answer it, I would be disingenuous. So let me find out, and you can ask me later, and I'll get the right answer for you.
Hey Rory, this question's for you. First off, I just want to say congratulations on your way to becoming one of the best welterweights in the world.
Thank you.
I just want to clarify something. You, a little bit of conflict of what you've been saying. One, you say you want to fight anybody, you don't care. But two, you also say you don't want to fight George. What happens when 2 of the best fighters are both from TriStar? And, you know, is it a matter of moving up, or do you guys just have to... You know, I'm not saying it's going to be an Evans-Jones thing, but I just want to know if you've changed your opinion, if you are fighting for yourself.
Well, it's like this. George has seniority at our gym, TriStar. George is a friend of mine. We're training partners together. I don't know about you, but you probably don't like to beat up your best friend, cut him, you know, watch him bleed, cry, you know, lose money, all that stuff. It sucks. You know, but there's also a thing at our gym. You know, I don't want to get kicked out, for one, because I'm newer there. And George brought me in, you know, as a guy in his own weight division, you know. So I have to respect that, you know. I have a long way to go in this career of mine in the UFC, and I want to wait till I am peaked to carry that title. George is, you know, he's been around for a long time, and I don't know how much longer he's got left in the UFC. That's something he has to figure out. But, you know, when he passes the torch, I'll be the one to carry it from there on in.
Okay, maybe I'll take a couple more questions from the media. Any more questions from the media? Then we'll take a couple from the fans. Yes.
Rory, happy belated birthday. You just
Where are
turned
you?
23.
She's straight ahead.
Oh, I'm right here.
Hey.
You just turned 23, and you're facing BJ Penn, who came out of retirement to face someone 10 years younger than him. What are you expecting from a fighter who hasn't won since late 2009?
I don't know. I'm training for the best, BJ. You know what I mean? Like I'm just preparing myself to be the best version. You know, I'm gonna come out evolved. I'm gonna come out in good shape, explosive, exciting, like I always do, and I'm gonna be very technical, and I'm gonna be on point. I don't know where BJ's at. You know, he didn't even show up to this. You know, he's dropping out of the VADA testing. Last time I seen him, he looked really out of shape. You know, I don't know, man. I don't know where his head is at in this. But he better get serious or I'm going to hurt him very badly.
Thank you.
Hey, to be
Tom,
fair, just to be fair to BJ, he was invited and couldn't come for some personal family reasons, so that's why he's not here. But anyway, sorry, next question, sorry.
Tom, this question is for you.
Yes, Spencer.
First things first, congratulations on doing a great job with the Canadian office. I don't think people give you enough credit since you took over for that.
It's these guys. You got great fight. Oh, sorry. You got great fighters to work with. Makes it easy. Sorry, man.
Absolutely. And second, what do you have to say to Canadians for continuing to come out in droves and show the amount of passion that they continue to show no matter where you go in Canada? Because as Dana has said, and many people have said, Canada is the Mecca outside of Vegas to a lot of people, and it is just unbelievable to me to see the outpouring that we continue to get.
Well, Spencer, you say thank you. I mean, ultimately, you know, I think that we always recognize these fighters up here with me, Dana does, that the sport belongs to the fans. And as long as we always remember that, respect that, and make sure that we do things to always reflect the fact that they own this sport, I think we'll be fine. So I say thank you. I mean, as I said at the top, UFC 152 will be the 10th fight held in Canada, and the 10th since 2008, and no other country in the world has held as many fights outside of the United States as Canada. We take it very seriously. We work hard to put on great shows, great performances, and we take great pride in that. But in the end, it's about, you know, making sure we're relevant to our fans and we deliver to our fans. And I'm absolutely convinced that everybody up here, everybody on this card will deliver a fantastic show on September the 22nd. Thanks, Spencer.
Hey, Tom. Over here.
Where?
Right here. Waving my hand.
I got you. Oh, sorry, man.
I feel as if the lighter weight classes haven't built up the popularity that they really deserve, especially with the casual fans. So coming to such a great market with Toronto, why did you decide to do the first ever flyweight title fight rather than Cain Velasquez versus Junior Dos Santos?
Well, you know, I tell you, I mean, these guys are going to put on a great show. I feel UFC 152 is honored to have the first ever flyweight championship. Demetrious and Joseph are going to put on a great show. It's going to be fast. It's going to be furious. These guys are strong. They're the best in their weight classes. And you know, frankly, I'm excited that we're adding this eighth weight class. You know, it wasn't that long ago that we brought in the WEC to be part of the UFC and added some of the added bantamweights and featherweights. So I think it's you know, the future of our sport is across all of these weight classes, and I think it's a reflection of how strong it is globally, because these are the kinds of fighters that you know, the world is represented by all sorts of people of all sorts of different sizes, and you know, on this card, I'm sure we're going to have a heavyweight, and we're going to be right down to the bantamweights, and I think it's going to be a great reflection of our sport, and one of the reasons why it's so popular around the world.
Another question. Sorry, guys. I was wondering, is there going to be autograph signings after anywhere? Or anything?
Yes, there will be. There's going to be an autograph signing over at Boston Pizza at Front and John tomorrow. Brian Stann and Michael Bisping are going to be signing autographs from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, from 12 to 1 at the Boston Pizza tomorrow at Front and John.
So none today for people that traveled here from a little bit away?
Well, there may be an opportunity. We'll have to wait and see.
All right.
I'll take one more question from the media. More questions from the media?
I have a question for Rory. Who do you think would be a stronger opponent? Would it be George St. Pierre or Condit?
I don't know. George is a tough training partner for me. I don't know about these questions about fighting George. I've answered it a million times, you know. The guy's my friend and a training partner. I'm not going to fight him as far as right now. You know, Condit, I will get that rematch, and I will beat him. And it won't be anything like the last time. You know, I showed a lot of emotion, and it was an exciting fight, but I took a lot of damage. Next time I'm going to be sharp and precise. I'm going to hurt him very badly and put him away.
Okay, one last question from the fans, and then I'm going to square these fighters off. Anyone? Last question?
Hi, Tom. Sorry.
Yes.
One last.
Sure.
Make it a good one.
Sorry?
You were talking about the lower weight classes a little while ago, and I wanted to know what's your opinion on introducing the straw weights to the UFC. Dana White had talked about it recently. Is it going to be an option, or is it premature to even discuss? Or
You know, again, when it comes to that sort of stuff, you know, I lean to the experts. You know, the Dana Whites of the world and the Joe Silvas of the world have forgotten more than I'll ever know about MMA, and I rely on those guys. So, you know, next time you're at a press conference, you can ask them. I mean, I think that, you know, what we've tried to do is make sure that we provide a fantastic product to our fans and really represent the entire sport across the entire spectrum. So that's what we'll do, and you know, next time you see Dana, ask him that. Okay, so I'm going to square these fighters off. Thank you very much for coming out. So just before I finish, I want to remind everybody that the on sale for UFC 152 in Toronto, we go this tomorrow, July the 25th, to the Fight Club at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. On Thursday at 10 o'clock Eastern Time also, that's July the 26th. We'll go on sale for our newsletters, and the public on sale is on Friday, July the 27th, starting at 10 o'clock in the morning. You can go through the ACC or through Ticketmaster. That's the on-sale dates. And once again, we've got an event tomorrow from 12 to 1 at the Boston Pizza at Front and John, which is just actually that way, in that direction. Between both Brian Stann and Michael Bisping will be there to sign autographs. So thank you very much, everyone. Thanks to the fans. Thanks for the meeting. Let's square these guys off. Why don't we come down here, guys? You want to go down? Yeah. Where do you want to go, CV? Hey, Rory, we're going to get you to stand first. Yeah. You stand up first. Do his modeling pose.